Hello, my dear students. Are you fine? I think you are enjoying your online classes. Last week we saw the first episode of our classes. Today I am with the next episode, which includes 5 subjects. Let's begin with English. In the previous class, we were discussing the story titled Shoemaker by Charles Dickens. I think you remember it. In the story, we can see an imprisoned shoemaker named Manet, and Defarge enters into the prison and he was talking with Manet. Okay, I am moving to the next paragraphs, so listen it carefully. I want, said Defarge, who had not removed his gaze from the shoemaker, to let in a little more light here. You can bear a little more. The shoemaker stopped his work, looked with an vacant air of listening at the floor on one side of him, then similarly at the floor on the other side of him, and then upward the speaker. So, here Defarge wants some light in the prison as it is completely dark. So, he asks Manet's permission, and by listening this, Manet looks all his sides towards his left, to his right, and then to the speaker Defarge. So from this we can understand that Manet can't identify exactly the source of the sound, means from where it is coming. That's why when he hears something, he looks to all his sides and then exactly to the speaker. Okay, or else we can say that he is disturbed by the sound, okay, after a long time. And now I am moving to the next paragraph. The half-opened door was opened a little further. A broad ray of light fell into the garret and showed the workman with an unfurnished shoe upon his lap, pausing in his labor. His few common tools and various scraps of leather were at his feet on his bench. He had a white beard, raggedly cut but not very long, a hollow face, and exceedingly bright eyes. His yellow rags of shirt lay open at the throat and showed his body to be withered and worn. He and his old canvas frock, loose stockings, and all his poor tatters of clothes had in a long seclusion from direct light and air, faded down to such a dull uniformity of parchment yellow that it would have been hard to say which was which. So let's go through the meanings. Some are given in your textbook and I will read it. Garret means top floor or attic. And scraps means small pieces, okay, and it is not given in your text. Next one, raggedly means shabby, not in a uniform manner, okay. Next, hollow means here it means a depressed face, okay, and exceedingly bright eyes. Exceedingly means extremely. Next, withered means wrinkled. Worn means tired, extremely tired. Next, canvas frock means clothes with rough texture, means it is made somewhat rough or hard. Next, seclusion means being alone, okay, being separated from everything. And next, tatters means torn pieces. Next, stockings means long socks, okay, clear. Now, in this paragraph, we can see the door opens completely and a wide ray. Door means which door? The door of the prison, okay. So, the door opens completely and a wide ray of light enters into the prison by showing Manet and his surroundings clearly. Means now Defarge can see everything, means the Manet and the surroundings very clearly. So here in this paragraph we can see the physical appearance of Manet. Means he was explained like the workman with an unfurnished means not completed shoe upon his lap, means as he used to make shoes in his prison, there is a shoe upon his lap, and its work is not completed. And he stops his the work now for a few moments, and his few common tools means he used to make shoes, and various scraps of leather means with leather he used to make shoes. That's why we can see some small pieces of leather at his feet and on his bench. And he had a white beard, and the beard is raggedly cut means it's shabby cut, and anyway it's not long, but it's somewhat cut. And a hollow face means a depressed face, and exceedingly means extremely bright eyes. Okay. And now his yellow rags means old clothes. Okay, yellow rags of shirt. So he wears a shirt lay open at the throat, means the shirt is half opened, so that we can see his body, and his body is very wrinkled and worn, means wrinkled and very tired. He and his old canvas frock, his clothes, the rough clothes, loose stockings means loose socks, and all his poor tatters of clothes means torn pieces of clothes, had in a long seclusion, means all these were separated, he and his belongings were separated from the sunlight. That's why in the direct sunlight, that's why everything was in a dull uniformity of parchment yellow, means everything was somewhat in a yellowish color, that we can't actually separate one thing from the other. Everything was in yellow color. Clear? So moving to the next page, next paragraph. He had put up a hand between his eyes, and the light and the very bones of it seemed transparent. So he sat with a steadfastly vacant gaze, pausing in his work. He never looked at the figure before him, without first looking down on this side of himself, then on that, as if he had lost the habit of associating place with sound. He never spoke without first wandering in this manner and forgetting to speak. So now the light is on his hand, so we can see the very weak or thin hand with bones, means without flesh. There is he is very thin, that's why with the help of the light we can see all the skeletons in his hand. Okay, that much transparent it was, means that much weak and thin he was, and he sat with no expressions on his face. Means it was a very empty gaze, means a very empty look, means there was no feelings on his face. And now he stops his work for a moment, and even though Defarge stands before him, he don't looks at him. Okay, it's very important. Okay, Manet don't look at Defarge even though he stands in front of him and speaks to him. Instead he looks to his sides. In the previous paragraph also we saw that, and it seems like he has lost the sense to identify. So here clearly the writer says that he has lost it seems like he has lost the sense to identify the sound from where it comes. If he speaks, before that he also used to look all his sides, and then only he looks exactly to the speaker, and then he speaks out. Okay, this is what the condition of Manet. So thank you.
Dear students, in the last class we have learned about matter, molecules and states of matter. We know that there are three states of matter: solids, liquids and gases. Today let us learn about molecular model of each states of matter. Molecular model represents the arrangement of molecules. First, we can study the molecular model of solids. Here, you can see the picture that shows the molecular arrangement in solid. We know that each solid is made up of very tiny particles called the molecules. These molecules are very small and they can be assumed to be the rigid balls. From the figure, you can see that all these molecules are very small. The separation between the two molecules in a solid is very small. If we consider these two molecules, we can see that the separation between them is very small. The molecules in a solid can only vibrate to and fro about their mean positions. So, if we consider this molecule can vibrate only in to and fro direction. This molecule cannot leave from this position because all these molecules are closely packed. So, they vibrate only to and fro about their mean position. They cannot leave their positions. The molecules in a solid are closely packed due to the strong attractive forces between them. So, this is the molecular model of solid. Now, let us learn about the molecular arrangement of liquids. We know that each liquid is made up of very tiny particles called the molecules. These molecules are also very small, but they are not rigid. So, we can assume them to be the non-rigid balls. Here you can see a picture that shows the molecular arrangement in liquids. Here you can see that there is a small spacing between each molecule. So, the intermolecular spacing in liquids is more than that in solids. The liquid molecules can move about freely within the boundary of the liquid. So, these molecules are not so close. There is a small spacing between each molecule. So, they can move freely within the boundary of the liquid. The molecules in a liquid are also closely packed, but their positions are not fixed. Intermolecular force in liquid is weak in comparison to that of solids. This is the molecular model of liquid. Now, let us learn the molecular model of gas. Here you can see the picture that shows the molecular arrangement in gas. Like solids and liquids, gas is also made up of very tiny particles called the molecules. These molecules are also very small in size and we can assume them to be non-rigid balls. And in this picture, we can see that the separation between molecules is quite large as compared to that in liquids and solids. The molecules in a gas can move about freely in space. The molecules in a gas are wide apart. There is a large separation between each molecule and their positions are not fixed and the intermolecular force in them are very weak. Now, let us make a comparison between solids, liquid and gases on the basis of arrangement of particles and movement of particles. Here you can see the diagrams showing the molecular arrangement in solid, liquid and gas. First we can take a look on solid. The arrangement of particles in solid are close together. The molecules in solid are very close together and they have a regular pattern. What about liquids? Liquid molecules are also close together, but they have a random arrangement. Their pattern is not a regular one. What about gas? The molecules are far apart from each other. They also have a random arrangement. Now, what about movement of particles? In solids, the molecules can vibrate on the spot. They can vibrate to and fro about their mean position. The molecules cannot leave their position. What about liquids? The molecules can move around each other. What about gases? The intermolecular spacing is very large in gas. So, the molecules can move quickly in all directions. Now, What are the peculiarities of solids, liquids and gases? Let's have a look. We know that solid is rigid. They have a fixed shape and a fixed volume. What about liquid? They are not rigid. They do not have a fixed shape, but they have a fixed volume. And what about gas? They are not rigid. They have neither fixed shape nor fixed volume. Now, let us learn some examples for solids, liquids and gases. First, solids. Ice, brick, wood, iron, all are examples of solids. What about liquids? Petrol, vinegar, paint, water, milk, all are examples of liquids. What about gases? Helium, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, nitrogen, air, all are examples of gas. But water is the only material found naturally on earth in all three states. The solid form of water is ice. In liquid, the liquid form is water, and in gaseous state it exists as steam. Now, we can make a distinction between solids, liquids and gases. Now, we can make a distinction between solids, liquids and gases. We know that solid has a definite shape and volume. What about liquid? Liquid has a definite volume but not definite shape. And a gas has neither a definite volume nor a definite shape. The molecules in a solid are rigid. What about liquid? The molecules in a liquid are non-rigid. The molecules in a gas are also non-rigid. The molecules in a solid can only vibrate to and fro about their main position. What about liquid molecules? The molecules in a liquid can move within the boundary of the liquid. And the molecules of gas can move freely in space. The molecules remain fixed at their positions in solids. In liquids, the molecules do not remain fixed at their positions. In gas, the molecules do not remain fixed at their position. In solids, the intermolecular forces are very strong. In liquids, the intermolecular forces are less strong. And in gas, the intermolecular forces are very weak. What about the molecular arrangement? The molecules in a solid are closely packed. The molecules in a liquid are loosely packed, and the molecules in a gas are wide apart. And a solid cannot flow. What about liquid and gas? Liquid and gas can flow. So these are the main distinctions between solids, liquids and gases. Today we have learned the molecular model of each states of matter. And also we learned the distinction between solids, liquids and gases. I hope this is clear for you, and we will see in the next class. Thank you.
Main question number 3. Evaluate. Question number 1. 3 by 7 plus negative 4 by 9 plus negative 11 by 7 plus 7 by 9. First we can equate rational numbers having same denominator plus 4 by 9, 7 by 9. Then common denominator of first two rational numbers are 7 plus 9, negative 4 plus 7 that is equal to negative 8 by 7 plus 3 by 9. Here different denominators of both the rational numbers 7 and 9. Find out the LCM. LCM is equal to product of 7 into 9, that is equal to 63. Next, convert each denominator into 63. 7 into 7 into 9, negative 8 into 9 plus 9 into 7, 3 into 7. That is equal to negative 72 by 63 plus 21 by 63. That is equal to, here common denominator 63, negative 72 plus 21 equal to difference 72 minus 21, 151. Greater number negative. So, negative 51 by 63. Both are multiples of 3. So, cancellation possible. Here 17, 3s are 51, 21, 3s are 63. So, our answer is negative 17 by 20. Question number 2. 2 by 3 plus negative 4 by 5 plus 1 by 3 plus 2 by 5. Same way, equate the rational numbers having same denominators. Common denominator 3 here, 2 plus 1 plus denominator 5, negative 2, 4 plus 2, 3 by 3 plus negative 2 by 5. That is equal to different denominators, LCM of 3 and 5. 3 and 5 having no common factor other than 1, therefore their product 15. Convert each denominator into 15. 3 into 5, 3 into 5 plus 5 into 3, negative 2 into 3. That is equal to 15 by 15 plus negative 6 by 15. Common denominator 15, 15 plus negative 6. That is equal to 9 by 15. Here also cancellation possible. Multiple of 3, 3 3s are 9, 5 3s are 15. Answer is equal to 3 by 5. Next question number 3. 4 by 7 plus 0 plus negative 8 by 9 plus negative 13 by 7 plus 17 by 9. Equate the rational numbers having same denominators, negative 13 by 7, negative 8 by 9 plus 17 by 9 plus 0. 0 is added to any rational number, we will get the sum as that number itself. Next step, first two rational numbers having same denominator, common denominator 7, 4 plus negative 13 plus 9, negative 8 plus 17. That is equal to negative 9 by 7 plus 9 by 9. That is equal to, here different denominators, LCM 7 9 equal to 7 into 9, 63. So convert each denominator into 63, 7 into 9, 9 into 9 plus 9 into 7, 9 into 7. That is equal to negative 81 by 63 plus 63 by 63. common denominator 63, add the numerators, negative 81 plus 63, that is equal to 81, 63 difference, 11 minus 8, 11 minus 3, 8, 7 minus 6, 1, 18 by, negative 18 by 63, cancellation possible, cancel by 9, 9 2s are 18, 9 7s are 63, so our answer is equal to, our answer is negative 2 by 7. Question number 4. 3 by 8 plus negative 50. Negative 5 by 12 plus 3 by 7 plus 3 by 12 plus negative 5 by 8 plus negative 2 by 7. Equate the rational numbers having same denominator, 3 by 8 plus negative 5 by 8 plus negative 5 by 12 plus 3 by 12 plus 3 by 7 plus negative 2 by 7. That is equal to, common denominator 8 here, 3 plus negative 5 plus common denominator 12, negative 5 plus 3 plus common denominator 7, 3 plus negative 2. That is equal to 5 plus negative 3 plus negative 5 gives the sum negative 2 by 8 plus here negative 2 by 8 plus 1 by 7. Here 3 denominators are here, so LCM of 8, 12, 7. 8, 12, 7 by 2, 4, 6, 7 by 2, 2, 3, 7 by 2, 1, 3, 7 by 3, 1, 1, 7. Next again by 7, 1, 1, 1. LCM is equal to 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 7. That is equal to 21 into 8, 168. Convert each denominator into 168. 8 multiplied by 21, negative 2 into 21 plus 12 into 14, negative 2 into 14 plus 7 into 24, 1 into 24. That is equal to negative 42 by 168 plus 168 negative 28, negative 28 by 168, 24 by 168. Here 168 common denominator, negative 42 plus negative 28 plus 24. Negative 42 plus negative 28 gives the sum negative 70, 24. Difference you can calculate, 10 minus 4, 6, 6 minus 2, 4. So answer is negative 46 by 168. Cancellation possible by 2, 23, 2s are 46, 84, 2s are 168. Therefore, our answer is negative 24 by, answer is equal to negative 23 by. Main question number 4. For each pair of rational numbers, verify commutative property of addition of rational numbers. First we have to write the commutative property of addition of rational numbers, that is a by b plus c by d equal to c by d plus a by b. Question number 1. Negative 8 by 7 and 5 by 14. First we have to calculate a by b plus c by d. Negative 8 by 7 plus 5 by 14. LCM of 7, 14. 7, 1, 2. 2, 1, 1. 7 into 2, 14. Convert into each denominator, 14. 7 into 2 plus, no change for the second rational number, that is equal to negative 16 by 14 plus 5 by 14. Common denominator 14, negative 6, 16 plus 5, that is equal to negative 11 by 14. Next, we want to calculate c by d plus a by b. That is equal to 5 by 14 plus negative 8 by 7. 5 by 14, no change because the LCM is 14. 7 into 2, negative 8 into 2. 5 by 14 plus negative 16 by 14, that is equal to 14 common denominator, 5 plus negative 16 is equal to negative 11 by 14. Therefore, a by b plus c by d equal to c by d plus a by b. Question number 3, negative 4 by 3. By 5 and negative 13 by 15. First we can write commutative property of addition of rational numbers. A by b plus c by d is equal to c by d plus a by b. Therefore, a by b plus c by d equal to negative 4 by 5 plus negative 13 by negative 15. Negative 4 by 5 Here both the numerator and the denominator contains negative sign, should be positive. LCM of 5 and 15 is 15 itself. So convert each denominator into 15, multiply both the numerator and the denominator of this fraction by 3, plus no change here, negative 12 by 15 plus 13 by 15. Common denominator 15, add the numerators, that is equal to 1 by 15. C by D plus A by B we can calculate, negative 13 by negative 15 plus negative 4 by 5. Both are numerator and denominator negative, sign should be positive. Negative 4 by 5. LCM of 5 and 15 is 15. So convert each denominator into 15. 5 into 3, 4 into 3. 13 by 15 plus negative 12 by 15. That is equal to 1 by 15. Therefore, A by B plus C by D equal to C by D plus A by B. Question number 5. 3 plus negative 2 by 7 . 3 and commutative property of addition, A by B plus C by D equal to C by D plus A by B. First side, therefore, A by B plus C by D equal to 3 plus negative 2 by 7. 3 having no denominator, so that is 1 is already there. Convert into 7 as the denominator. Multiply here also by 7, negative 2 by 7. That is equal to 21 by 7 plus negative 2 by 7. That is equal to 7 common denominator, 21 plus negative 2. Answer is 19 by 7. C by D plus A by B equal to negative 2 by 7 plus 3. Same way we can calculate. Negative 2 by 7, no change. 3 is, denominator of 3 is also as 7. So we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 7. Negative 2 by 7 plus 21 by 7. Here 7 common denominator, negative 2 plus 21, that is equal to 19 by 7. 19 by 7. Therefore, A by B plus C by D equal to C by D plus A by B. Dear students, these are the questions for your homework. Then today I wind up my periods. So, thank you very much.
പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട കുട്ടികളെ, എല്ലാവരും സുഖമായിരിക്കുന്നോ? നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചത് കുമാരനാശാനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന ആശാൻ്റെ വീണപ്പൂവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന കൃതിയെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്. ഇപ്പം മലയാളത്തിലെ ലക്ഷണമൊത്ത ഖണ്ഡകാവ്യം, ആദ്യത്തെ ലക്ഷണമൊത്ത ഖണ്ഡകാവ്യമാണ് ആശാൻ്റെ വീണപൂവ്. കൊല്ലവർഷം 1083 രചിക്കപ്പെട്ടത്. പാലക്കാട് ജില്ലയിലെ ജൈനിമേട്ടിൽ വെച്ചാണ് അദ്ദേഹം വീണപൂവ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കവിത എഴുതിയത്. ഇപ്പോൾ വായനാ ലോകത്തെ ശുക്ര നക്ഷത്രം എന്നറിയപ്പെടുന്ന വീണപൂവ് പ്രതീകാത്മകമായ ഒരു കവിതയാണ്. ഈ കവിതയിലൂടെ കവി ഭൗതിക ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ നശ്വരതയെ വെളിവാക്കാനായിട്ടാണ് ശ്രമിക്കുന്നത്. മുറ്റത്തെ ചെടിച്ചൂട്ടിൽ വീണ് കിടക്കുന്ന പൂവിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ, ആ പൂവിൻ്റെ അവസ്ഥ കാണുമ്പോൾ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതാവസ്ഥയെക്കുറിച്ച് കവി ഇവിടെ ചിന്തിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പൂവിനെ കവി മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതാവസ്ഥയുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പം പൂവിൽ കവി ആരോപിക്കുന്ന ധർമ്മങ്ങളൊക്കെയും നമുക്ക് ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിയുടെ ജീവിതത്തോടും സാദൃശ്യപ്പെടുത്തി എടുക്കാം. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വീണപ്പൂവിൻ്റെ കുറച്ച് ഭാഗങ്ങൾ, വീണപ്പൂവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഈ കവിതയുടെ കുറച്ച് ഭാഗങ്ങളാണ് നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട് തന്നിരിക്കുന്ന പൂവിനോട് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന കവിത. ഈ കവിത ഞാനൊന്ന് വായിക്കാം, എല്ലാവരും ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിരിക്കാം. ഹാ പുഷ്പമേ അധിക തുംഗപദത്തിലെത്ര ശോഭിച്ചിരുന്നിതൊരു രാജ്ഞി കണക്കയെ നീ, ശ്രീഭൂവിലസ്ഥിരമസംശയം ഇന്നു നിന്റെ ആഭൂതിയെങ്ങു പുനരങ്ങു കിടപ്പിതോർത്താൽ, ലാളിച്ചു പെറ്റലതയൻപൊടു ശൈശവത്തിൽ പാലിച്ചു പല്ലവ പുടങ്ങളിൽ വച്ചു നിന്നെ, ആലോലവായു ചെറു തൊട്ടിലുമാട്ടി താരാട്ടാലാപമാർന്നു മലരെ തലമർമരങ്ങൾ, പാലത്തെഴും പുതുനിലാവിലലം കുളിച്ചും ബാലാതപത്തിൽ വിളയാടിയുമാടലെന്നെ, നീലീല പൂണ്ടിളയ മൊട്ടുകളോടു ചേർന്ന് ബാലത്വമങ്ങനെ കഴിച്ചിതു നാളിൽ നാളിൽ, ശീലിച്ചു ഗാനമിട ചേർന്നു ശിരസ്സുമാട്ടി കാലത്തെഴും കിളികളോടത മൗനമായി നീ, ഈ ലോകതത്വവുമായി തെളിവാർന്ന താര ജാലത്തോടുന്മുഖതയാർന്നു പഠിച്ചുരാവിൽ, ഈ വണ്ണമൻപൊടു വളർന്നത് നിന്റെ അംഗമാവിഷ്കരിച്ചു ചില ഭംഗികൾ മോഹനങ്ങൾ, ഭാവം പകർന്നു വദനം കവിൾക്കാന്തിയാർന്നു പൂവേ അതിൽ പുതിയ പുഞ്ചിരി സഞ്ചരിച്ചു, ആരോമലാമഴകു ശുദ്ധി മൃദുത്വമാഭസാരല്യമെന്ന സുകുമാര ഗുണത്തിനെല്ലാം പാരിങ്കലേതുപമ ആ മൃദുമേയിൽ നവ്യ താരുണ്യമേന്തിയൊരു നിന്നില കാണണം താൻ, വൈരാഗ്യമേറിയൊരു വൈദികനാട്ടെ ഏറ്റ വൈരിക്കു മുമ്പുഴറിയോടിയ ഭീരുവാട്ടെ, നേരെ വിടർന്നു വിലസീടിന നിന്നെ നോക്കി ആരാകിലെന്തു മിഴിയുള്ളവർ നിന്നിരിക്കാം. നമുക്ക് കവിതയുടെ ആദ്യത്തെ 8 വരികളൊന്ന് നോക്കാം. ഹാ പുഷ്പമേ അധിക തുംഗപദത്തിലെത്ര ശോഭിച്ചിരുന്നിതൊരു രാജ്ഞി കണക്കേ നീ, ശ്രീഭൂവിലസ്ഥിരം അസംശയമെന്ന് നിന്റെ യാഭൂതി എങ്ങ് പുനരെങ്ങ് കിടപ്പിതോർത്താൽ. അപ്പോൾ വീണ് കിടക്കുന്ന പൂവിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ കവിയുടെ മനസ്സിലേക്ക് ചില ചിന്തകൾ കടന്നു വരികയാണ്. അല്ലയോ പുഷ്പമേ, ഒരു കാലത്ത് ഏറ്റവും ഉന്നതമായ സ്ഥാനത്ത് ഒരു രാജ്ഞിയെപ്പോലെ നീ വിളങ്ങിയിരുന്നു. എന്നാൽ നിൻ്റെ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ കിടപ്പ് കാണുമ്പോൾ കഷ്ടം, ഐശ്വര്യം ഭൂമിയിൽ സ്ഥിരമല്ല എന്നാണ് തെളിയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ കവിയുടെ പറയുകയാണ്, നിൻ്റെ ജീവിതം വളരെയധികം ഉയർന്ന ജീവിതാവസ്ഥയിലായിരുന്നു. എന്നാൽ ഇന്ന് നിൻ്റെ കിടപ്പ് കാണുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതം ഭൂമിയിൽ സ്ഥിരമല്ല എന്ന്. ഒരൈശ്വര്യവും ഭൂമിയിൽ സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് നിലനിൽക്കുകയില്ല എന്ന് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നു. ലാളിച്ചു പെറ്റ ലത അൻപൊടു ശൈശവത്തിൽ പാലിച്ചു പല്ലവ പുടങ്ങളിൽ വെച്ച് നിന്നെ ആലോലവായു ചെറു തൊട്ടിലുമാട്ടി താരാട്ടാലാപമാർന്നു മലരെ ദലമർമരങ്ങൾ. അപ്പോൾ വാത്സല്യത്തോടുകൂടി പ്രസവിച്ച വള്ളി കുട്ടിക്കാലത്ത് എന്തു ചെയ്യുന്നു? നിന്നെ തളിരിലകളിൽ വെച്ച് ലാളിക്കുന്നു. ഇളം തെന്നൽ വന്ന് നിന്നെ തൊട്ടിലാട്ടുന്നു. ഇലകൾ എന്തു ചെയ്യുന്നു? അവയുടെ മർമ്മര ശബ്ദം കൊണ്ട് നിനക്ക് താരാട്ട് പാടുന്നു. അപ്പം ഈ ഒരവസ്ഥ നമ്മുടെ ശൈശവകാലത്തും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ശൈശവകാലത്തും മനുഷ്യർ ഓരോരുത്തരും നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും അനുഭവിച്ചതാണ് അല്ലേ? നമ്മുടെ അമ്മ വളരെ വാത്സല്യത്തോടു കൂടി നമുക്ക് ജന്മം നൽകുകയും അമ്മയുടെ കൈകളിൽ വെച്ച് നമ്മളെ താരാട്ട് പാടുകയും തൊട്ടിലാട്ടുകയും ഒക്കെ ചെയ്തിരുന്നു അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ മനോഹരമായ ആ ഒരു ജീവിത അവസ്ഥയെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്, നമ്മുടെ ശൈശവത്തെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്, മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ശൈശവ അവസ്ഥയെക്കുറിച്ചാണ് കവി ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ രണ്ട് ഭാഗങ്ങളും ഈ 8 വരികളും നിങ്ങൾ നന്നായിട്ട് വായിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിരിക്കുക. മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതാവസ്ഥയെ കവി എങ്ങനെയാണ് 8 വരികൾ നിങ്ങൾ നന്നായിട്ട് വായിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കുക. ബാക്കി ഭാഗങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യാവുന്നതാണ്.
Hi dear children, this is your first biology class. Here I am Bobby Miss for taking the class. Can we go to our classroom? Look at the screen. What do you see there? Vehicles are moving from one part to the other side. These vehicles transporting some goods or people from one place to the another place, isn't it? Are similar. In plants also there is a transporting system. Let's start our first chapter, Transport in Plants. You have already learned that plants can prepare their own food. Do you know the name of that process? Yes, that is photosynthesis. Can you list the factors required for photosynthesis? They are water, carbon dioxide, sunlight and chlorophyll. We know that photosynthesis takes place at leaves. What are the sources of these factors? Root absorb water from the soil. The leaves take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Sunlight is trapped by the pigments present in the leaf, and chlorophyll is present in the leaves itself. All these factors that is transported to other part. Now, are you clear what is the need of transportation in plants? Yes. So, we can give a definition for transportation. Look at the board. What is the definition given for transportation? Transportation in plants is the process in which substances absorbed or synthesized in one part of the plant are moved to the other parts of the plant. For example, which are the substances that is absorbed by the plant? Yes, that is water is absorbed, carbon dioxide is absorbed. What is the substance that is synthesized by the plant? Food is synthesized by the plant, or a glucose is synthesized by the plant. Food that is synthesized at leaves are transported to other parts of the plant body, including roots. Water and minerals absorbed by the root reach to the aerial parts of the plant body. Therefore, transportation is essential for plants. In plants, for this purpose, there is a specialized system that is called a conducting system, or a conducting means transporting. Conducting system or a transporting system. And this conducting system consists of two main tissues. They are xylem and phloem. The conductive tissues of the plant body are called xylem and phloem. They are also called the vascular bundle. Let's learn more about xylem and phloem. First of all, xylem. Xylem is a conductive tissue or a transporting tissue. Do you know which are the substances transported through xylem? Xylem transport water and minerals from the roots to the aerial parts of the plant. Aerial parts means the upper part of the plant body, to the leaves, to the branches, like that. Let's learn how the structure of xylem is suitable for this function. We already understood that xylem is a tissue. Tissue is formed of different types of cells. Therefore, xylem also contain different kinds of cells. Which are the cells of the xylem? A xylem is made up of 4 kinds of cells. They are xylem tracheids, xylem vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Which are they? Once more, xylem tracheids, xylem vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Can you see the structure of xylem in the screen? Look at how is it arranged, and in the figure itself it is clear that it is made up of different type of cells. The cells are not similar in shape, similar in size, like that. Which are they? First of all, the first cell, that is tracheid. Look at the picture. It shows the structure of tracheid. What are the features of tracheid? Tracheids are elongated cells. Elongated means long cells. Not only elongated, they are dead cells with the tapering ends. Tapering ends means both ends pointed. And the walls of tracheids have thickenings with lateral pores. Can you see the pores that on the tracheid? Yes. Then, what are the functions performed by the tracheid? The common function of xylem, we already mentioned that the conduction of water and minerals from the root to the aerial parts of the plant body. And one of the cell that present in xylem is tracheid. It has its own specific function. So the xylem has the tracheid has 2 functions. One is transport water upwards. In addition, the second function is they provide mechanical strength and support to the plant. It also provides mechanical strength and support to the plant. Did you see? The walls have thickenings with the lateral pores. The walls of the tracheid is thickened, thick walls. Therefore, it also provides a mechanical support to the plant body. Is it clear? Then, which is the another cell that present in xylem tissue? That is vessel. Look at the structure of vessel that is seen just near the tracheid. Vessels are tube-like structures. Look at the both sides of the vessel. They are open at both ends. Then how is it arranged? They are placed one above the other. Therefore, it form a long channels. So it can easily carry water and minerals to the upper side. The structure of the vessel is helpful for the conduction of water and minerals. It is tube-like and both ends are opened. Then what are the functions of the vessels? Just like tracheids, vessels also provide mechanical support to the plant and also take part in conduction of water. So vessel also have two functions. One is conduction of water and the other is mechanical strength and support to the plant body. Look at the structure once again. How the structure of vessel and tracheid, how does it differ from each other? Third one. This is the third cell that present in xylem, that is xylem parenchyma. It is also called the wood parenchyma, xylem parenchyma. When compared to tracheids and vessels, xylem parenchyma are comparatively very small. They are small cells, but the walls are thickened. And the most important feature of xylem parenchyma is they are living cells. But we learned that tracheids are dead cells. Tracheids are dead cell, but xylem parenchyma is living cell. One of the difference between xylem parenchyma and tracheid. Then, in function also, xylem parenchyma differ from tracheid and vessel. It also helps to conduct water and mineral salt. And in addition, another function of xylem parenchyma is storage of food materials. It does not take part in mechanical support to the plant body. That's about xylem parenchyma. So, once again, the features, they are very small cells, but the cell walls are thickened, and the main functions are storage of food materials and conduction of water and salts. Okay. Then, the fourth cell present in xylem is xylem sclerenchyma. Xylem sclerenchyma. They are also called the wood fibers. What about it? They also thick-walled, and the cells are long and narrow. As like in tracheid, there are so many structural similarities to the tracheid because they have a thick-walled, these cells are long and also narrow and with the tapering ends. Tapering, I already told that tapering means S-pointed. But in function, it differs from tracheids, vessels and xylem parenchyma. And among the cells of the xylem, xylem sclerenchyma does not take part in conduction of water. It only provides mechanical support to the plant body. That is about the structure of xylem, the cells of the xylem. Which are they? Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma. Then again, what are the major functions of the xylem? We already discussed that the main function of xylem is conduction because it is called a transporting tissue or a conductive tissues of the plant body. So, look at the board. What was written there? Yes, the functions are listed there. One is xylem. The main function of xylem is transportation of water and mineral salts from the roots to the aerial parts of the plant. Secondly, tracheids, vessels and xylem sclerenchyma provide mechanical strength and support to the plant. Which are they? Tracheids, vessels and xylem sclerenchyma provide mechanical strength and support to the plant. Then, do you remember one another function? Which cell take part in storage of food? Yes, that is xylem parenchyma. Is it clear? So, what we learned today, what we discussed today? Yes, today we discussed about the conducting tissues of the plant. They are xylem and phloem. These tissues are together called the vascular bundles, and we also learn about the cells of the xylem, their structural peculiarities and the functions. Next class, today we wind up the class. Next class we will discuss about the phloem, its structure and its functions. Okay, thank you.